Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into this week's special edition of According to Sacha podcast. You know that we're with you. Typically, we're with you every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Thank you so much for where you're watching. And every now and then we have special editions for even more special guests. And so tonight we have the founder of Youth Empower LLC, and she is Crystal D. Life. And I'm going to let her come on and she's going to talk about all the amazing things that she's doing with women and youth as far as self-esteem. She's a self-esteem coach and so much more. And so we'll bring her up shortly. But you know what we got to do, right? We got to like, follow, and share. Like, follow, and share all of our platforms. You know, like I said, we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and then we're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon, everything, you name it, is scrolling down at the bottom. So, like I said, thank you so much for everyone that you're always tuning in, that you're always supporting our platform. Thank you. I love you all. And sorry, I'm seen to be so rushed, but I just really wanted to get Miss Crystal up here. So I have one word from my sponsor, and I'll be right back with Crystal D. Life. Entrepreneurship, small business, is something that everybody would love to do, making their own money. And this is what we will be talking about on According to Sacha. Hey, Crystal.
Hey, Sacha, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
You're so wonderful. And thank you for even just allowing yourself to be free on a Sunday evening. I know that you could have been doing so many other things, but having you here today with me is such a special moment. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now, I know a little something about you. We met in Atlanta last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the, enough time to be around in your presence to know how amazing you are.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But I want my guests to know a little bit something about you. So let's go ahead and start with this question. Tell the world, who is Crystal D. Life?
Wow. Well, Crystal D Life is a force to be reckoned with. How about that? We start there. I am determined to be the face of fixing young girls and women to boost their self esteem. I need them to get off the bench and in this game called life. Listen, the world says that if you want a job done, give it to women. I need to make sure that they're equipped and they understand that they are worth running the world. So I am a mother of three. I also have worked for the federal government for 30 plus years. I will be retiring in 2 years. Yes, in 2 years. I also have another business. I am a notary public as well as a loan signing agent. But I also my heart and my passion, to be honest with you, is for young girls. And so back in 2015, I founded a nonprofit organization for young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're ages fourth grade to 12th grade. Before it was sixth through 12th grade. I sort of got talked into bringing the babies, and I'm so glad that I did. But with our main vision and main mission is to not only help them discover their purpose, but give them the life skill tools to help them walk in their purpose. So that's about me in a nutshell.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what was it that got you into? Now you said you're a federal worker, government worker. So what was it that stood out so much to you that you say, you know what, our young women and our young girls need self-esteem coaching? What was the beginning point for you?
I think the beginning point for me, honestly, was founding the nonprofit back in 2015. Prior to that, of course, I said I have three kids, and all of my kids have been extremely active, whether it was extracurricular, academically. They've been in everything. And I sort of became the adopted mom of all of their friends. So, I had three kids that I birthed naturally, but I soon found myself being the mom to hundreds of kids. And so I absolutely loved that role. So I was always involved in youth. And so we moved to Jacksonville, and the church that we started attending, I became a youth leader in their youth ministry. And it was then that I realized that these girls want to go deeper. And unfortunately, sometimes because of the constraints, the walls of the church, we can't go as deep as we really need to go.
Yeah.
And so I honestly, I was sitting in church one September, and we had a guest preacher to come in, and he said, "What is it that God has spoken to you to do that you're holding on to that can affect the lives of somebody else?" And I was like, because it's something that he had been toying with me and telling me to do. And I just was a little hesitant because, again, I'm a mom of three. I work, and at the time I was married. And so I had a lot of responsibilities. And for me, I don't want to do anything unless I can do it with the true spirit of excellence. And so, because I truly believe that the youth are our future, I wanted to make sure that I was really hearing from God, right? Because I was like, man, there's so many other amazing nonprofits in Jacksonville. Lord, why me? And he kept coming back to me and saying, the ones that I'm going to bring to you need you. They're not going to listen to anybody else. And so it was then that I knew nothing about a nonprofit, but I knew how to research because I will research to the hilt. And I like to say, I'm a YouTube university graduate. Um, so I researched all I could on nonprofits. And yes, I made some mistakes along the way, but almost 8 years later in November, we're still here. So that was the beginning of me really saying, let's go deeper. And so within those 8 years, just mentoring with young girls every month and seeing that there still was a piece that was missing. I just didn't understand fully what it was. And then it just came to me. It was their self-esteem. They need to realize that they're worth it. And until they realize they're worth it, it doesn't matter how much purpose I push on them or what tools I give them. If they don't believe they're worth doing it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's really good. I love the fact that you number one. I was going to say this is a Sunday, so I'm glad our talk is going this way and honoring our Sunday. And you know, one of the things that I would say I'm privileged to say, like on my podcast, there are little nuggets I'm allowed to let out about myself. So I'm listening to you, and we've had like really similar paths because I too have worked in youth ministry before, way in my past. So I understand like when you're working with young girls, and it's just like they do when you know that that group of young girls or women are for you, they gravitate to you. It's something about your spirit, who you are, that they see. And you're just like you said, you're an adoptive mother. I think I was at that time, I was like the big sister to a lot of young girls. And but you're in so much of an influential position to be able to help shape and mold their lives. Yes, they have their parents, but there are times where they don't want to talk to their parents about some of those issues that are deep, that they think their parents don't understand. So when you're placed in their life and they're able to really shine and talk to you through those hard times and those deep questions and things like that, that's truly a joy. So what would you say would be um maybe the number one issue with the self-esteem that they do experience at a younger age?
Well, as quiet as it's kept, and it shouldn't be quiet. Right now we're just recognizing mental health within our community, right? And so there's a lot of mental health challenges, and sometimes, well, oftentimes within our own community, it's taboo to talk about mental health. Well, along with that, trauma is taboo. I was raised in a household where you are to, first of all, you're to be seen and not heard, and what goes on in this house stays in this house. And unfortunately, me being the person that I was, because I took that literal, not that there were things that shouldn't have been spoken, but there were things that should have been spoken, if that makes sense. And so as I grew up, I felt like I didn't have a voice. Nobody cared what I wanted to say. And I was to keep all of this stuff in. That in itself caused a level of anxiety that I did not realize until I was later in life. And so oftentimes I sit back and I think to myself, And this is really my motto. I want to be for these young girls what I wish I had growing up.
Mhm.
And so when we're talking about mental health, we have to talk about the trauma. We have to talk about the trauma. There are certain things that happen to these young girls, or and it doesn't have to be trauma in the sense that, oh my gosh, is life threatening, but in actuality it is life threatening. If it prevents anyone from walking in their God-given purpose, then it's life threatening. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you were raised in a household where, again, you were to be seen and not heard, you were taught at a very young age that what you say doesn't matter. That means when you go to school, you won't speak up if anybody's treating you bad, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a co-worker, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a student, whether it's administration. You will not speak up for yourself because you don't feel like what you say matters. So I believe the first step in even dealing with the self-esteem is honestly dealing with the trauma. And this is something that me and my cousin talk about quite often because she is truly, truly in that trauma field. But trauma, unhealed trauma, leads to low self-esteem.
Yeah. So, and then you're also, and that's really good because I was going to go to another point, but I want to stop here real quick. That trauma is everything. And that's one of the things that if we don't tackle, in our early years, whether it's formative years, teen years, adolescent, whatever it is, it carries on into our adult lives. So, which really takes me to my next question with you, because I know that you're working with young girls, but
Mhm.
also you're working with women.
Yes.
So, in working with women, how have you seen where the unhealed traumas have played an effect on their own self esteem as an adult woman?
Okay, so let me just give you a little story, and it's probably this is the best way I can. Like I said, I've been in the federal government for 30 years. Okay, and I'm in a leadership position, so there's that.
Yeah.
However, oftentimes I am the only Black female in a room full of white males.
Yeah.
In all honesty, when I first got into my leadership role, I was intimidated
Mm.
because not only was I the only female, I was the only Black female. And so, there's that stereotype, if I'm assertive, I'm the angry Black female. I was a mom with kids, so I felt like I had to go above and beyond to prove that I deserved to be in that room.
Mhm.
Because I was intimidated and because I felt like I had to walk this tightrope and be perfect, I didn't say anything.
Mm.
And I had most of the times I had the answer, but I was just so intimidated that I wouldn't say anything. And so for me, even though I went through this journey of building my self-esteem, because look, as a young girl, my self-confidence was off the roof. You couldn't tell me I couldn't do anything. If you did tell me I couldn't do it, I'm going to show you that I am going to do it. Right.
Mhm.
But and that's where the self-esteem and self-confidence differs.
Yeah.
Self-esteem is about, am I worth it? Do I feel that I'm good enough?
Yeah.
Your confidence is about your abilities. So I knew I
Mhm.
could do it, but I didn't know if I was worth it. And so that transitioned into
Mhm.
me being a professional female at work and not speaking up when I thought something was wrong, or not giving ideas because I thought they would be chastised or it wouldn't be good enough. And so I cowered down. And it
Mhm.
wasn't until I was, I actually mentor a lot of younger people that come up the ranks because I work for military as well as civilian agency. And so I will mentor a lot of younger um, military personnel. And so we had this one young girl, and I call her my spiritual daughter to this day. She's now married with 2 kids overseas and everything. But when she came in, she was just this bubbly young person, right? And no one took her serious. And I said, they're gonna squash her like a bug.
Mhm.
Because she was just bubbly, she just wanted everybody to like her, da da da. But she was smart as a whip, but nobody would take her serious because she was a woman and she was so bubbly. And I said, you can be both. And it was at that very time that I gave her permission.
Mm.
Isn't that crazy? I
Yeah.
had to give her permission to be both.
Yeah.
You can be bubbly and you can be the smartest person in the room, but first I had to lead by example.
Wow. That's so
So
powerful.
yeah, and so that's really what I take when I'm even, especially when I'm talking to professional women or just women in general. You don't
Mhm.
have to be in leadership. You could just be owning your business. Listen, you are the only one that's standing in your way. But you have to know that you're worth it. You have to know that your voice matters. You have to know that you bring something to the table. And guess what? As they say, if you aren't invited to that table, build your own table. You can do that.
Definitely do that. Build your look. We have women in construction these days. We have
That's
women with the
right.
tool belts. Like you get your own tool belt of
Yes.
resources and skills and assets and everything, and build your table. Really, because there are tables out here everywhere. You may get an invite. You might have to just bombard it. You might have to pull up your chair, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
how much greater is it to bring your own table to the presence of everybody? I love that so much. Okay, so you said a whole lot that I want to unpack. And I'm sitting
Okay.
here like trying to make these mental notes. I said, I got this, I got that, I got that. Okay, so I love the fact that you broke down the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence,
Mhm.
because that difference is everything. And I'm glad that you really brought that out, because for people to say, yes, I'm worth it, and to really believe that, that shows in that genuine confidence. Because then you have people who are confident and they play that role
Yes.
and they're still feeling worthless on the
Yes.
inside, but
Yes.
they just know how to play the cards. So
Mhm.
the thing is to have it to where it's permeating from you, and
Right.
it's that genuine confidence, and you can just go in. So I just love the fact that you broke that down. And I don't know if you realize how powerful this part was that you said when you said you powered down. You know, in that moment that you had that experience and knowing that you are the light that you are, and you said that you powered down, a lot of times we don't really look at that as, you know, we just think we step into the side, but you really are powering down all the great things that are in you that needs to be powered up. So, as that being a self-esteem and a confident booster, is like always know who you are to really power yourself up and stay powered up. I
Mhm.
love that. And it's just I just thank you for sharing that story, because I know that so many people do go through these situations, and like you said, if the trauma is not healed or even dealt with or even processed through, then
Yes.
you will continuously walk through life. In certain circumstances you could be high on one level, but as soon as that challenging part comes to you, you're ready to fall back. And we want you to match it all up and be in a good place and go forward in that. So
Exactly.
now, kind of doubling back to, well, no, I was going to say doubling back to the young girls, but with women and girls in general, as a whole,
Mhm.
how much do you believe that social media has played a big effect on self-esteem and true confidence?
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange because I believe me and my older daughter was just talking about this the other day, and talking about how I see social media. There's good things to social media and there's bad things to social media. A lot of times I don't believe half the things I see on social media. You get up, you're all glammed up, blah 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 blah. Oh, you doing this, you doing that. Yeah, 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 yeah. I hear all of that. I'm the type person, and it's just the way I'm wired. I hear what you say, but I listen to what you don't say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so a lot of times I can see through that. Unfortunately, not everybody's like that. And so when you have young girls that are looking at social media, their friends are on social media, their so-called icons are on social media, they're following these rappers, they're following these actresses, these models, and they're building this utopia, right? And so these girls feel like if they don't fit into that box, then
Yeah.
they're not worthy.
Mm-hmm.
So then they try to emulate what they see, and they realize, but that ain't me. And then it's like it continues to be a downward spiral because you may never reach that. And because you're trying to emulate something that you truly are not, guess what? Not only is your self-esteem going down, now your confidence going down because you can't meet it. And so I tell young women as well as adults, quit looking at that social media.
Mm-hmm.
Live your life. I remember when my middle daughter, because I think that's when social media really, really came into play. Now, my oldest daughter, it was like, MySpace and all that stuff. That's when it started
Mhm.
happening. But with my middle daughter, it really, really came into play. And we would not allow her to have social media. I said, until I know that you know who you are and you're not seeking validation from anybody else, you will not have social media. I need to understand that you know your worth and it has nothing to do with anybody else validating you. That goes for me, your dad, your sister, your aunties. You need to validate yourself. As they say, validation is for parking. Baby, you ain't no car.
I love it.
So I made sure that she was able to deal with that because I made sure she knew who she was. Now,
Mhm.
does that mean that she still doesn't fall into different things? Most definitely. But the foundation is laid. So she's always going to go back to the foundation of my mother has told me I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. My mother's told me that I'm the apple of his eye. My mother
Mhm.
told me I'm beautiful. My dad has told me I'm beautiful. I don't have to find that out here in the street because they've already told me that. Tell me something I don't know. So social media
That's
is
awesome.
it can be a silent killer.
That is so true. That is so true. I want to sit and take a pause real quick. If anybody out there and you want to chime in, definitely this is the time to, kind of get in on this conversation. If you are anyone that you have been through any of these things, chime in. We have Crystal. She is a self-esteem coach right here. We can, get some things interchanged right now while we're on air. There's no reason for anybody to never feel, ever feel like, oh, there's no one there to listen to me. If you don't mind putting it out here, we don't mind talking to you about it.
That's right.
So we want you to be able to take advantage of the opportunity to do that. And so I just definitely want to make sure people knew that they can really chime in and just let us know that you're here. I see you out there. So come on in, chime in, come to the room, come to the space.
Home.
Yes, we got to get this going. It's Sunday, I mean, shoot, we're usually here for half an hour, but we can go on. I don't care,
Hey,
hey,
okay, I'm
long
free.
as long as Crystal got time, I got time, so hey, it's all good. It's all good. But I was sitting here just typing up. I just love your what you just said because I'm about to put this in the chat right now. And I'm going to put it on the screen because you said it so fast. And I was just like, oh no, this has to be like you said, validation is for parking. You are not a car. Like, you're going to have to stamp that. You're going to have to stamp that one. You're going to have to do something with that one because right there, that is everything said right there. And if anybody knows that you have to validate when you go, get you parking your car somewhere or whatever like that. And you know how valuable it is to get it validated because you don't want to pay that parking. But how much more valuable are you when
Yes.
you're not that car, but you're this actual being, this actual person who has a purpose in life and wants to do great things. And a lot of times it takes for us to get all this stuff together, right within ourselves in order for us to really put our best foot forward
Right.
and be the author, the entrepreneur, the professional, whatever it is that you're going to do. A lot of things you said, I see it a lot in like we were talking about the whole social media thing. I see it a lot with entrepreneurs, especially with
Mhm.
females, because just naturally, we always looking at what the other person is doing, what the other woman is doing, what they have, what they don't have. I mean, that's just something we do, and we
Mhm.
deal with all the time. And but when you're in that business realm and it's like you start seeing it, and a lot of times that self-esteem does play a part in it because it's like, am I even worth doing this business? It goes beyond just feeling worth you just showing up in life. But when that's seeping into other things and like how much greater can that business be when you really have it all together? So, it all plays a part. And I really thank you for sharing all that because that is truly, truly good. Like I said, that validation for parking. Yeah, I just love that so much. Now you have a lot of things going on, and I want to mention this because I've met all three of your kids. Let me tell you, this lady here, Crystal, is not just talking about like when I, just witnessing the movement and how all three of them are, and just listening to you talk, I know that you are giving even greater to, those that you are mentoring and that you're coaching. But you are not just saying, okay, I'm going to pour into these kids or these young women or adult women in this area, and I don't pour into my own household.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can see that what you're giving at home is the exact same thing that you're giving. And people, that's what you want when you're looking for people who are going to be like life coaches, self-esteem coaches, things like that. A lot of times people want to look at, oh, what's your receipts? Like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
money? Like, what's your clientele look like? But when you can actually see the evidence of people around them,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you know that's real transformation that's happening, because you're walking it and living it all at the same time. So I just had to give you your kudos. I just had to give you your
Oh.
roses and all the crowns and everything out there to you. I just had to do that because it does mean a lot. It does. Because a lot of times when you could be in a position like that and you have kids at home, young adults at home, they don't get the same thing.
Right.
In some cases, you have certain things where people are giving to so many other people, but when they come home, it's totally different.
Correct.
And they don't get that. So when you could be able to be the same person across the board, that does says a lot about, not about just what you're giving out, but it says a lot about your character. It says a lot about your heart. It says a lot about the purpose that you believe that you have, that you're walking forth in. And so, and I just really admire that. I admire that so much. So you have a lot of great things going on. You have some things in the works, but
Yeah.
you do have something coming up soon. I think it's a workshop, self-esteem workshop. You want to tell people about it?
Yes. So I decided, school is going to be out come, end of May, early June. So it's going to be sort of a lax time for everybody just to sort of chill out. And I said, why not start the summer off with let's have a self-esteem workshop, right? Because the business, sometimes life is lifing, right? And unfortunately, we as women, especially if we have kids and we have careers or we're married or we have other things, we put ourselves to the back burner. And I wanted to use this time to say, no, you're worth it. Let's pull up to the table and let's talk about some things. And so June 24th, I will be having a self-esteem workshop for women. I am only accepting 20 women for the first cohort. And let me explain to you why. Self-esteem is not an easy topic to talk about, right? For me, I'm a very transparent person, right? So what you see is what you get. I feel like it's my transparency that will allow me to reach those that may not be reachable. And so, look, I put it all out there. I'm pretty much an open book, and I'm a pretty self-aware person, so no one can really say too much to me that I haven't, self-examined myself. But not everyone is like that. And so understanding that not everyone is like that, the purpose of me only having 20 women is one, so it keeps it small and intimate. But two, when you leave, you're going to be connected to accountability partner. You're not going to just leave this workshop and say, okay, that's it. That's the workshop. No, we're going to form a group. You're going to have accountability partners. We're still going to do different things throughout the year, but this is just the first step. So I need them to understand you can do whatever you want to do, but let's deal with your mindset. You have to change your mindset first. You have to know that you are worth it. You have to know that you're good enough. I don't care what anybody else told you. I don't care when it started. I don't care if it started when you were small or if it started when you were in your 20s or your third, heck, or in your 50s. I really don't care. The key is I don't want you to stay there because there's somebody out here that's waiting on you, right? Things that we go through is really not for us. It's for the next person that sees us and can say, man, if she made it through, I know I can make it through. But we only get that way with us being transparent. And that's why I'm very extremely transparent in my self-esteem classes. And sometimes it's people that have taken my classes, they're like, I would have never known that. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I tell people naturally, in all honesty, I'm an introvert. And when they look at me, they're like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, I've taught myself right, to be an extrovert because I love people and I
Mhm.
want to see people succeed. And so I knew I couldn't do that and just stay in my home or just not say anything. But again, you got to realize I was again that little girl that didn't think I had a voice.
Mhm.
And see, the enemy will use that very thing that is going to help somebody else in the kingdom and make you feel like you're less than. So I'm
Yeah.
going to speak up if nobody else going to speak up. So June 24th is going to be the workshop. It will be virtually.
Mhm.
So we don't have to, go anywhere. I think COVID has taught us that we can definitely still do business virtually, and sometimes it's even better.
Mm. Yeah.
So June 24th is going to be the workshop, the first 20 people, and that's it. Now, until I have another one, but that's going to be it. So more details follow. They just need to follow me on social, all my social medias, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. And I'll have all of that information coming real soon. I have some other things that I'm working on. I'm not ready to release that just yet,
Uh-huh.
but it's going to be good.
I certainly believe that it is. I know it's going to be good because just listening to you right now, it is everything that's good with it. And so, people, make sure that you get connected with Crystal. I have her information. The website is here, Instagram and Facebook is here. You definitely want to follow her. Go ahead and sign up for this self-esteem workshop, or if you know someone else that can really use it, definitely like share it forward, like pay it forward, move it forward, everything you got to do, because you've heard it here. You've heard it here. So, you know exactly what they're going to get from being in this workshop. And to know that you're not going to just stop there. Because some workshops are like that. You go to the workshop, you do the work there, that's it. You have materials to take with you, then you're on your own with everything else. But you're going to set people up with accountability partners. Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying, guys? So this means that she is truly serious about it not being a one-off thing.
Yes.
It is something that you can take it, whatever you started processing through, you're going to continuously process through it with accountability and everything else she's going to like roll out for people to be involved in. And what I love about it is it's a small group, so in that way you have more of exclusivity with it. You have the intimate part of it. You have just a small thing where you can really say, look, here I am, and know that you're going to get the attention and the direction and everything else that you need and get poured into. So yes, make sure you sign up, you guys. Crystal, thank you so much for being here. And before we close out, I want you to give like maybe whatever your final tips, inspirational, however you want to flow with it. Go ahead and close us out with something amazing.
Ooh, let's see. I want to speak to right now the women, although there may be men on the line, and there may be young girls on the line, but right now I want to really speak to the women. We wear so many hats, and oftentimes when we're wearing so many hats, that includes wearing a lot of masks. It's time for the mask to come off. It's time to heal that little girl inside. It's time to speak to that little girl, pick her up by the hand, and say, "You are enough." Tell her that she is loved just the way she is. Kinky hair, big forehead, no eyebrows, all of it. That she was created to change this world. And just hug her, because as you're hugging that little girl, you're healing you. So I'm here for you. I want to be here for you. I want to be your coach because I want to get you off that bench and in this game called life.
And there you have it, everybody, from Crystal D, life herself. Get in that game called life. And I just thank you all for being here. Thank you, Crystal, for being here again. I truly appreciate it. I've enjoyed this conversation with you. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everybody. This is it for a Sunday evening. We'll be back on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember to command your day and be great in everything you do. Bye, everybody.